Hello and welcome to Immigration USA with Kathia. Today's program has a lot of information, a lot of news about everything that is going on with the government and their efforts to deport thousands and thousands of immigrants. Can they really do that? What is going on? Why are the courts opposing the government every time they try to do something? We are going to talk about that, so don't go anywhere. We're about to start. Let me see. We are about to start and I am fighting with my phone. Okay, anyways, today it's one more day in which the government keeps trying to deport as many immigrants as possible, and immigrants keep fighting for their rights. And probably you're asking, what type of rights? Well, the rights of due process. And what is due process? Due process is when the Constitution says that nobody can be deprived of their liberty unless they have been notified and they have been given an opportunity to defend themselves. And that's exactly what it's not happening with immigrants. The government is doing what we call abuse of power. They are arriving, they are detaining people without arrest warrants, they are deporting them without giving them an opportunity to say absolutely anything. And in some cases, they're even arresting US citizens because they look brown and they look like Mexicans and they look like Latin Americans, and therefore they should be immigrants. So that is all wrong. That goes against who we are as a country, who we are as a nation. And for that reason, we, the American people, needs to fight against injustice, because today the injustice is against the immigrants. Tomorrow it could be the US citizens who will lose their rights. So what rights are the immigrants losing nowadays? Well, number one is the right of free speech. Immigrants, as of today, do not have the right to free speech. The government has canceled thousands of student visas, and many of those student visas have been canceled because people have expressed their political views pro or against Israel, pro or against the government. And if you do that, well, in America, American citizens probably think, oh, but we have the right to free speech. Well, immigrants apparently don't, because if you do that, then the government comes and cancels your visa, the one that allows you to be in the United States and study in the United States. So is that right? Well, apparently it's not. The courts, the government already did it. They already canceled the visa and notified the student that they gotta go. They have to leave the country. The students are inside the United States and are saying, I can't do that. I've paid for the semester. I need to finish my studies. I need to graduate. Well, they went to court. And not in one, but in several courts, the judges are saying, this is wrong. We cannot do this. We cannot cancel someone's visa just because they think different than what you think. You cannot call them terrorists just because they think different than you and they express their opinion. But they're not getting all the way to that point. What they're doing right now, the courts are saying, stop, stop, stop. You have to return these visas to these people. You cannot just cancel the visa without notifying them why, without giving them an opportunity to explain themselves. So that is good news. In a world and in a country where apparently everything that is towards immigrants is wrong, I am very happy to report that the courts are looking at justice and fairness in most of the cases, and not just looking at the political views of the government. Because this is not about politics. This is not about politics. This is about the wrongness of the government that for the past 30 years has decided not to deal with the topic of immigration. Congress hasn't done anything to update the immigration laws. Today, we are dealing with the immigration laws of 1997. And the country and the world has changed so much in the last 30 years. And yet we are still dealing with laws that are super old, that do not fit the needs of America. So I am more than happy to report that many judges are telling the government, no, what you're doing is wrong. And the main reason they're doing it is because they know that if today we allow these abuses to happen to immigrants, tomorrow they will happen to American citizens. So that's news number one. News number two is that the same way student visas were stripped from people just because they were expressing their political opinions, well, legal permanent residents who don't have just a temporary visa, they have legal permanent resident status. Some legal permanent residents were detained and ready to be deported also for their political opinions because they think different than the government. And there, the consequence of deporting these people is the loss is much higher, right? Because the government says, well, they knew that they were going to leave someday. The visa was temporary. In the legal permanent resident case, they knew that they were going to live in the United States. And they bought homes and they married and they are having kids. And so the loss that they're going to have, it's so much higher, so much stronger. And yet the government was trying to deport specifically this legal permanent resident, Mahmoud Khalil, without an opportunity for him to defend himself. So anyways, the lawyers lawyered up right away, went to court. The court says, yeah, hold on. He needs to have a deportation process. And the judge in the deportation process said, yeah, well, I mean, he can be deported. And now they're on appeal. And this all seems so wrong because the government is saying he's a terrorist because he expressed a political opinion pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine. And so we cannot let him live in the United States if he's a terrorist. Now, we know that expressing an opinion, saying something, doesn't make you a terrorist. And an opinion can be misconstrued or not. I mean, there's so many factors in just accusing someone of being a terrorist. The thing is, the person has never been tried as to whether he is a terrorist or not. And the moment when he was detained, there was no arrest warrant against him. He had done absolutely anything wrong, and ICE just came and picked him up. And so you're probably asking yourself, can they do that? Isn't that a violation of the law? Isn't that an abuse of power? Well, that's what we need to find out. And that's what the lawyers of Mahmoud Khalil are doing right now. They're telling the judge, these whole deportation proceedings shouldn't be going on because the way in which he was detained was wrong, was all defective, because they didn't have an arrest warrant. They didn't have a reason to just come and pick him up. So we need to see how this argument is going to play out in court. But I think this is not about an immigrant fighting for his right to stay in the United States. No. If you are thinking of that's the issue, you're wrong. This is about the constitutional rights that everybody who lives in the United States has to express their opinions and to have their freedom right protected, to be innocent until proven guilty. Because otherwise, the government is going to come, is going to detain people, is going to deport them, even if they're U.S. citizens, and they're not going to have to answer to anyone. And that is not right. So that was news number 2. News number 3 is that DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, has decided to revamp the ECAS, which is the database that the government has about immigrants, and has decided to consolidate a lot of that information that they have. And that is pretty serious because immigration, that the immigrants and the Department of Immigration are not the only ones who have information about immigrants. The Department of Immigration is one department, and then the Department of Justice is another one, and then the Department of State is another one. And these people, these three departments, I say these people, these three departments have been really bad about talking to each other. So Dodge has decided to revamp all this system and to be able to track immigrants in a better way. However, there are a lot of things that we have to worry about, because in that database, there are kids, there are victims, there is a big vulnerable population. And we don't want them to use the information just to attack these people. They can go after the undocumented immigrants. Yes, all the adult undocumented immigrants. But what do we do with the kids? What do we do with the victims of domestic violence, with the victims of trafficking? And all those things that we need to consider. And for that, we need to be able to communicate with Dodge and with the government. And lately, that has been extremely hard because they're not willing to listen. They think all immigration is bad, and it's not. Immigrants are everywhere. Immigrants are around in your neighborhood. Immigrants are every Sunday or every Saturday at church. Immigrants do provide a great benefit to our communities. So we cannot treat them all as criminals, because they are not. Immigrants are everywhere. I am an immigrant, and I am very proud to be an immigrant who contributes to the betterment of the United States. So that is news number 3. Let's go to news number 4. If you're having fun listening to all of these, please let me know. Put a finger or a heart, share the show, and that way I'll know that this is worth streaming and that it is important for you to listen to what is going on in the immigration world. This week has been the week where ICE has been doing detentions in many big cities around the United States. They have been going after people with criminal convictions and prior order of deportations. And probably you would ask, why do they go so hard after these people? Well, because they are the ones who have the least amount of rights as an immigrant community. If you are just an undocumented immigrant or an overstay, right? You come with your visa, you overstay, you become undocumented. You come undocumented through the border and you are living in the United States, you are undocumented. Well, if you come to the United States and you are undocumented, if you encounter ICE or ICE encounters you and they try to deport you, you have the right to say, hold on, I want to see a judge. I want to talk to my lawyer. I want to have a deportation process. And the government has to provide you a deportation process. And many times, if you are clean, if you don't have a criminal record, then you are also allowed to be bailed out and go out on bond and go home and then go to see the judge from your home. Well, the same does not happen to someone who has a prior order of deportation or who has criminal conviction. Because in those cases, people do not have the right to be bonded and do not have the right to see a judge again, because they already had their opportunity and they missed it or they disregarded. So that's the reason why ICE is going right now after those two specific populations, because once they get them, these people have no rights to do anything but to get deported. So it's easier to detain them and to deport them. So what happens in that situation? Well, that immigrant community really needs to have a plan B, because right now the government is proactively going after people with prior order of removals, prior orders of deportation, or criminal convictions. And if that is your situation, you need to prepare in case that happens. And how do you prepare? Well, if you have minor children, you have to have power of attorneys for whoever is going to take care of your kids in the event that you are deported. And that person is going to be able to fly with your kids to your home country or, send them, put them in a plane. If something happens to your kids, you need those guardianship letters so that this person can take medical decisions for your children. So it's very, very important that you consider doing this just in case. Number 2, If you are in one of those vulnerable populations, you really need to consider having power of attorneys for your properties. If you have a home, if you have a car, if you have um, personal property, you need to have someone who will have the authority to rent the house or sell the house and send you the proceeds. Number three, if you have money, well, you need to have money in the bank. I know it's 2025 and you probably think, oh, Katia, everybody has the money in the bank. Well, you would be surprised. Not everybody has the money in the bank. And it's very important that we learn to do that, because if something happens and the person is deported, it's very easy to do a wire transfer from one bank to another. But if you left the money in your mattress or in a jar in your home, the chances that you would see that money ever again are very slim. So please, please put your money in the bank. Very good. What happens when the person does not have a prior criminal conviction and does not have a prior order of removal, but ICE went to their house looking for Mary and ended up finding Jessica? Well, Jessica, if she opens the door, Jessica is going to be detained for being undocumented. And it doesn't matter that she doesn't have any criminal record, and it doesn't matter that she doesn't have a prior order of deportation. At that very moment, Jessica is going to have to assert her rights, because the government is going to try to put her in the same group with all the people that is going to be deported. And she has to say these 3 yeses and 3 nos. Yes to, yes, I want to talk to my lawyer. Yes, I want to see a judge. Yes, I'm going to tell you my name, period. You need to give your true name because we need to find you, okay? So yes to saying your name. Yes to, I want to talk to my lawyer. Yes to, I want to see a judge, okay? But there's also 3 no's. 3 no's. No, I'm not going to sign any document. None. No document is going to be signed by my hands. No, I'm not going to take voluntary departure, because voluntary departure is basically saying, I renounce my right to see the judge. I renounce my chance to be bailed out and go back home. So no signing anything, and no to voluntary departure. And no, I am not going to talk. And you don't have to be disrespectful to the ICE officer. When you say I'm not going to talk, you can say I would like to remain silent. And then the officer knows that you are not going to provide information that they could use against you. So be careful and remain quiet. So these 3 yeses and these 3 nos are extremely important for you to learn and memorize. And please share the information, because I know we repeat it over and over and over again, but we still get people that get so nervous that they forget. They don't know what to do. In the moment, with the fear, with the immigration officer up front, they black out and they don't know what to do. So help me share the information, and that way we'll be protecting one more immigrant. And you probably would say, why do you want to protect all these immigrants? Because they are good people. You know, the government, the Trump administration during the election season was saying there are millions of criminals. Where are they? It's been 3 months and they haven't been able to deport not even 100,000. Where is the million? Where are the million criminals? They don't exist. Immigrants, yes, they are undocumented, and that's wrong. But they are working the fields. They're working the construction sites that Americans don't want to work. They are doing the work that Americans don't want to do. And we benefit from it. And we should be thankful for it. So we really need to help them resist this anti-immigrant campaign and continue working honestly, responsibly, taking care of their families, because most of these immigrants have U.S. citizen children, and these U.S. citizen children are the future of America. Okay, so I hope you learned a lot today with me. If you have any questions, please let me know. I have one here. It's from Private Eye. It says, expired green card 2018, late filing taxes 22, 23, 24, just filed April 15, 2024. file for all taxes. Will USCIS deny my green card renewal? Will USCIS deport me? Never been in jail. No, Private Eye. I think you did great putting yourself up to date on the taxes. I think that if you have been here since 2018 and you haven't been outside the United States for more than 1 year, then you are still a green card holder. A lot of people have the wrong idea about an expired green card. An expired green card doesn't mean that you are not a green card holder. Doesn't mean that you don't have legal permanent residence. It only means that your card has expired. So I hope you have a lawyer. You should. But I think you're going to be fine. I think you're going to renew your green card. Let me see. Hortensia says, I don't understand English. Hortensia, no worries. You can go and see me in Spanish in Immigrando con Katia. You're in the wrong page. I have a page in English and a page in Spanish. So the page in Spanish is called Immigrando con Katia. And I do the show there every day at 8:30 in the morning. And here I do it in English whenever I can find time because I work a lot of hours. Let me see. Estrellita says, I think this account is false. No, Estrellita. I am doing this show for the people who does not speak Spanish. Let me see. I'm looking for questions. Whoever is applying for a U visa, do they need to register? Let's talk about registration. I think it's a great idea. Okay, so the government is now asking all undocumented immigrants to register. And what is registration? Basically, it's telling the government, here I am. I'm undocumented. This is my name, my address, my phone number. This is my mom, my dad, my wife, my husband. And I plan on leaving this date, and I plan on doing this while I remain in the United States. Now, the government says everybody has to do it, but some people already did it. They didn't know that they were registering, but they already did. Who already registered? Whoever came to the United States legally. So if you came with a visa or with parole, you already registered, you don't need to. If you, at any time in your life, you've had an employment authorization, you registered. You are registered, you don't need to worry about it. If you, at any time in your life, were placed in deportation proceedings, then you are already registered. Everybody else has to register. It doesn't matter if you have a family petition or a waiver pending or consular process pending or U visa or VAWA. If you don't have the first three things that I just mentioned, you need to register, okay? With a 42B approved, can they deport me? No. If your 42B was approved, means that as soon as there is a visa available, you are going to get a green card, so no. Yes, a little baby, a 2-year-old from Honduras, has just left the United States with her family because her mom or dad was deported. And that's exactly what happens every time an immigrant is deported. The kids, the US citizen kids, are deported with them too. And it's the right thing to do at the moment for the parents, of course, because the parents are never going to leave their kids unattended. It's their kids and they're taking them with them. But this kid is going to miss out in so much, and that's very sad. I am a legal permanent resident and I have a misdemeanor. Can they detain me at the airport? I don't know. I would have to see the court documents. So I recommend that you obtain the court documents and then you make an appointment with a lawyer to review it. I have a question. I submitted an application for my brother last month. He will need to register. I don't know. Your brother will need to register if he is in the United States undocumented and he entered without inspection, he's never had an employment authorization, and he's never been in deportation proceedings. So if he is never been in those situations, then he needs to register, even though you filed an I-130 petition for him. That has nothing to do with it. Let me see. Well, thank you for being here with me today. I am always surprised as how we are little by little growing this channel. I thank you so much for your support, and I pray that you will share this show with everybody who is an immigrant in your communities who really needs to learn about immigration law, regardless of the language. Thank you so much. I give you my heart, and I will see you next week in another Immigration USA with Kathia. Bye.